Hi, everyone, and welcome to Software Success. I'm Ashley Jones, and I will be guiding you through using your embroidery software to create custom quilting designs today. So, if you're new to Software Success, here we talk all things software. We don't always talk out the stitching out process because we're really trying to learn our software to be able to create things that we want and get the most out of your programs that you own. So, if you are new with us, I think that you're going to learn a lot just in this one episode, but you can go back and watch past software success episodes. We do have them on our Facebook page, or I'm sorry, our YouTube channel. If you search Designs and Machine Embroidery YouTube channel, you can go back and watch past software success. So a lot of what we're doing is can be done even if you're brand new today, but we do have some episodes that really kind of build on one another to just get you more knowledgeable about the functions of your software. So it's always useful to go back and watch some of those. So while we're waiting for everyone to join, we'll just say hi and give you guys a few minutes to jump in here. And so while it looks like I'm frozen, so not sure if you can still hear me. And so I'm hoping so. I'm hoping this is everything is good. But we've got people here from joining. I know that we always have people from all over join our Facebook Live. And hopefully here the screen will catch up so I can look ahead. And so I see Laura Parks. Thanks for being here, Laura. Always good to see you. Eileen Reichert, so good to see you as well. So Sam Matthew, good to have you here. So from London, UK. So thanks for being here. Glad to have you. Sabrina Kerber from Germany. Thanks for being here too. Dawn from Creative Appliques. So glad to see you guys as well. So hopefully, again, like I said, hopefully you guys are hearing me just fine. I'm going to just head over here, see if I can. Okay, everyone, thank you for your patience. I just had that screen frozen, so I couldn't see anything. So I'm not sure if you guys were seeing. And so thanks everyone for being here. Like I said, I always see some familiar names, which is great. And I see a couple people says we actually went away, and YouTube was fine. So I'm so glad to hear that. I'm not sure what's freezing. This happened last time. I did a lot of work on my computer, thought I had it fixed, but technology, we gotta love it, right? Okay, well, let's get into the topic because once I start showing the software and the topic, it always seems to come together. So today we are going to be talking about creating a custom quilting design. And I'm also going to do this in conjunction with a custom quilt block. So we have a program, My Block Piecer, that is used for creating a piece in the hoop block. It'll take an artwork block and then convert it to stitches basically and give you your seams to piece that together. So I'm going to use that, but I'm going to create a custom quilting design for that one block. And then we're going to see how piecing in the hoop works if you've never seen that. But then also this week, we are going to be expanding on this as well. So we'll start with the custom quilt block, and I'm going to show you how My Block Piecer will generate a stitch file. And then I'm going to create a custom quilting design to overlay over that so that you can actually piece and quilt in one hoop. And then I'm also going to show you how to create a custom quilting design, like an edge-to-edge type design. A really easy technique to do this. And then this technique for actually quilting it, if you join Eileen this Thursday, she's actually going to be quilting this quilt and talking about tips and tricks for doing edge-to-edge quilting. So Eileen and I are trying to coordinate our episodes so that you get kind of a full picture of the entire process from the designing it to the stitching it out. So if you join her this week on March the 20th, Thursday at 1 p.m. Central, then you'll see the edge-to-edge portion of the design that we're going to be seeing how to create. So, and I am going to be using today a combination of 3 different software programs from us here. My Block Piecer is a program that will let you select a block from a library of thousands of blocks. And then with just a couple of clicks, it converts it to a design file so that it'll piece it together in the hoop. And I'm going to be using some features from My Quilt Embellisher. My Quilt Embellisher is a program that'll allow you to create custom quilting designs for your quilt. You can do edge-to-edge designs. You can also create custom designs based on the block itself. And we're going to see that as well. And then because Eileen is going to be doing the edge-to-edge quilting portion for you, I was going to go ahead and use the design that we create to plan the quilt design layout that she's going to be using this Thursday. So My Quilt Planner is a program that will let you plan the quilting design layout. And we get questions all the time about designing on top of an image. So Eileen has shared her quilt with me that I'm going to show you how you can design on top of an image, but also show you how you can import and use designs in My Quilt Planner that are not built in. It may be designs that you created or you own from another designer. So we're going to be seeing a combination of these 3 different programs here mainly, but I do have the list of the features that we're going to be using and what software they come from whenever we get back to the next section. So let's go over and create this cute little carrot block first. And then if you have never done piecing in the hoop, I have a little video that shows the process of how you piece a block in the hoop. Okay, so let's first talk about creating quilting designs and how we can do this. And then I'll show you how to create the block to actually stitch this together. Okay, so in Dime software, there's actually 6 ways. There's probably more, but these are the 6 ways that I'm going to show you quickly about creating quilting designs with your software. Okay, so there are quilting fills, which means that you can select a shape and then you can select a quilting fill and it will fill that shape. Okay, and I'll show you each one of these close up. Okay, so then there is an option that you can edit your block shapes. Like you can see here that I turned my triangles and my diamond or my square in the center there into run stitches, and I manipulated the design just by moving around the points. Okay. Also, in My Quilt Embellisher, we have embellishments, which are built-in quilting designs that have matching shapes, and so you can use those. You can also bring in design files that you own. So this, I just used File and Merge, and I located the design on my computer. You can also use your artwork tool to to draw shapes and convert those into run stitches. And we'll see how to do that as well. And here you can also freehand draw. So if you are a good drawer, or if you're like me, you can just draw a star or something very simple. You can do that in the software, and I'm going to show you how you can do that as well. So let's start with the quilting fills, and then we're going to, we'll see how to make this a piece in the hoop, a block. So I'm going to zoom into this one here just so we can kind of see what's going on. So let me just zoom in a little bit here. And then let's just zoom into this in this block. Okay, so quilting fills. I'm going to switch my default here to my embroidery tool shed. I was actually playing around with this earlier, but I like to leave my embroidery tool shed as the default. And then I'm actually going to be using features from my quilt embellisher for this portion. So my quilt embellisher, I'm going to use the icon over here to the right because I own my quilt embellisher. That means that I can use these features here that come from my quilt embellisher. Okay, so a quilting fill means that it's going to fill a shape with the quilting design that you choose. Okay, so I'm going to choose just these triangles on the outside first. Let's go over to our My Quilt Embellisher. And then these are my quilting options. These 6 options here. So texture, if I click on texture, I get a list of options to choose from. And so I'm going to click, say, this one, and you can see that it will fill that shape with a quilting design. Now, this is, in my opinion, a little bit tight a quilting. I like my quilting to be a bit looser. So over here in your properties area, when you have that selected, you can change the pattern length. So I'm going to switch it to 20, and you can see that it's increased a little bit. Okay, so now in this particular one here, let's choose another quilting. So I'm going to go back over to my quilt embellisher. And for this one, I'm just going to click on my stippling option, and you'll see that it fills that shape with stippling. Okay, and I can change from different types of stippling over here in my properties area. Anytime you're working with a design, look in your properties area for the different types of things that you can change. Okay, so that's 3 different types of quilting stipple that you can change by selecting these different patterns. You can also change the density as well. So if you wanted that to be a little bit more open, you could just increase that number there to make it a little bit more open. Okay, and let's choose a couple of more here. So I'm going to choose the next triangle, and then from that My Quilt Embellisher, I have advanced quilting. These are similar to the motifs, but a different group of designs. So they fill that shape with that repeatable pattern. And again, if I go over here, I can actually increase that pattern length, and it'll space out my stitches there. And then let's just do the couple more to fill up this block. So we've got contour. The echo is grayed out because I don't have a design in the center to echo that shape. And we're just talking about the contour shape, so or the actual shapes themselves. So I'm going to choose contour so you can see what that looks like. And then here for the last one, I'm going to choose the shape echo. And then it allows me to choose which kind of shape I want to echo. So if I choose, say, the heart shape and click OK, and you can see that it is quilting. I'm going to change it to a darker color so you can see it. You can see that it's echoing the shape of a heart. And so I can increase this number as well. I'm going to double it to 10 millimeters so we can see that. And you can see that it's quilting in the shape of a heart. Okay, and I can change, if I go over here to my properties, I can change that to, let's do a star or something more interesting than just the oval, so that you can kind of see that shape. So, and then I'm going to crease it even a little bit more to give a little more distance there. Okay, so those are quilting fills. So you choose a shape and select the fill, and it fills the shape with those quilting fills. Okay, so now let's go to the block shape here. So I'm going to zoom in again. And so what I did here was I actually just chose to convert my block to a run stitch design. So if I select my block shape here, I'm going to select all of it at one time, and I'm going to do a right mouse click and convert to a run shape. Okay, now this is all run stitches in the shape of my blocks. And so I'm going to just choose the entire thing and resize it a smidge smaller. And then I'm going to separate out these pieces so you can see that we've got 4 triangles and my center square here, and they're all run stitches. So let's say that you were quilting this block over here to the right, and you wanted to use these shapes by just converting your quilt block to those run stitches, you can create a quilting file to just quilt those shapes. Okay, so I'm going to lock this one. So over here in my sequence view, I'm going to turn on the lock so that I can grab these and just move them in place. So the lock just keeps that from being able to be edited. So, and then I can just move those. So that's a way that you can create custom quilting designs just by turning a quilt block into a run stitch. Now these quilt blocks come from either My Block Piecer or My Quilt Embellisher, and those are in your library. So over here to the right hand side, if I click My Quilt Embellisher, you can see the quilt block library is the first option. So that's where I'm getting these quilt blocks from. And any of these quilt blocks I can select and turn them into a quilting design. So let's say this one here, for example, if you wanted, actually this little geese here might be cute. Just looking to see what else we got. Let's do this star. And so this design here, I'm going to just pull this down and let's zoom in again. And for this one, let's just say you want to create a quilting design that's just the star points. I'm going to ungroup this and then just delete the center part that I don't need. So I'm just pressing the delete on my keyboard, and I'm going to delete these cream colored ones here. And then I can convert these shapes to a run stitch, and I've got a different quilting design. So if I do a right mouse click, convert to a run, or depending on which program you're using, your run option may be on your toolbar. But now, just that simple, I've created this little shape here that I can then resize, and I could put that, into my block if I wanted to. Okay, so really simple, right? And maybe you would want to get rid of that run stitch in the background, but I've got something different in the center. Okay, now the next option is, let me zoom back out here, is built-in embellishments. Okay, so I'm going to grab these run stitches and just slide these over to here so that we can work with this block. And this block, I need to turn my lock either back on if I want to use this block, or in this case, I'm just going to be bringing in a design, so I could leave it if I wanted. So built-in embellishments, okay, those are in My Quilt Embellisher. And there is an option for embellishments. If I click on it, you can see that there are 4 designs in each category. And these designs coordinate. You can see that you've got a circle, a rectangle, a triangle, and a square. So each one of these kind of coordinates. So if you're building an entire quilt and you're wanting them to match and coordinate for the different shapes, this is a great option. So I'm just going to use this embellishment here and click OK. And I'm going to move it down because it put it right on top of my other block. And so let me zoom in here so we can see what's going on. Okay, so there's my design. And I can rotate this if I want. So I'm going to use the rotate on my toolbar somewhere right here. And so I'm all grayed out. There we go. So I had to go back to my select tool. And so now I can resize this to fit. So notice in my one up, I actually resized it to fit the entire block, but I could just resize it here for the center. And I could choose a different quilting, for my triangles if I wanted. Now, this actually gives me the opportunity to show you that echo feature. So I'm actually going to make this a smidge smaller again, just so you can see the echo design. So the echo option happens when you have a shape that you're trying to quilt around. And the way that we do that, so if I choose this shape here and I'm going to ungroup and I'm just going to select the yellow. If I choose my quilting fills, let's just choose, say, the stippling option. And you can see it fills my entire block and it goes underneath or either on top of the design that I have. So what I need to do is I need to let my software know that I don't want that fill to go everywhere. Okay. So any of the built-in embellishments, they have this artwork around the edge of them that you can select and combine with the background shape, which I'm going to select both of those and just choose my center option to make sure I'm all center aligned. And let me undo that because I didn't grab the artwork shape there. So let me grab the artwork and the design and then my block, and I'm holding down my control key and pushing center to make sure that everything's nice and center. So just my center align, hold down my control key, and I selected the design, the artwork, and also the block in the background. Okay. So now that artwork outline, I can select just that artwork outline. And let's go over here and select it in the sequence view so that it's easier to select. So that's this object right here. And I know that because I can tell by the way it looks. I can also hover over the little image and it makes a larger picture of it. So I want to select the artwork and I want to select the background block. So I'm hold down my control key and that allows me to select another object. So with those selected together, I'm going to click combine. And now you can see it's kind of cut out that shape for me. And so over here on my quilt embellisher, I can now choose, let's choose that stippling again, but notice that echo is now available because I have something to echo. But let's just choose the stippling first so that you can see that it's going to go around my design. And now I'm going to select, go back over here to my quilt embellisher icon, and then I'm going to select echo quilting. So echo quilting is going to echo the shape that I have set here, but that only works because I had that artwork shape and then I use the combine tool to combine my background quilting here. So this is a built-in embellishment and it's also used with the echo feature in this instance. Okay, so let me zoom out here and let's talk about the other couple of options here. So importing a file that you already own is the next option. And so that is really easy to do. So you're just going to choose file and merge. That's going to bring the design here on your workspace. So I'm going to go to my see dime designs, and I know I have some quilting designs that I can take a look at. So let's just see what we've got here. Like this Ocean Waves is one of the design collections that we have here at Dime, but this works the same exact way. So maybe I want to bring in one of these designs. So I just do File, Merge, select the design, and it brings it on my screen, and then I can bring that onto my block. I'm going to zoom in here, and then we're just going to resize this. So I'm going to just hold the handle in the corner, and I can click and drag it larger. Or if I want it to be an exact size, I can go over here to my transform tab in the top right, and I can set an exact size. So maybe I want it to be, that's an 8-inch block. So maybe I want it to be 7 1/4 for my design size. Okay. And so that is bringing in a design that you already own. Now, if your designs are stored under your C Dime Designs folder, so here in the bottom right, if I click on my Designs tab, I can also locate designs here as long as they're in that folder C Dime Designs. Okay. So we just worked with the Ocean Waves. And so if I scroll down here, I can look for, there's the Ocean Waves. So I was able to bring that in under File, Merge, or you can click and drag it onto the screen. So I'm going to look for a different one. So let's go under Tapestry is another embroidery design collection. And so you can see here that I can just click and drag that onto my workspace here. And maybe I want this design instead. So I'm going to use my zoom tool again and just zoom back in. Okay. So you can do File, Merge, or if these are stored under your C Dime Designs, you can locate them here under your design library and then just click, hold and drag it onto your workspace. Okay. So really easy, right? So that's another way that you can get your own quilting designs to create a custom quilted instance. Okay, so now here for the artwork tool, let's zoom in here. So the artwork tool is this tool here at the very top, and I can use this drop down arrow and I can draw different shapes, okay? And those shapes can be turned into a run stitch to create a fun little pattern, okay? So let's just zoom in here and we'll play on this block. So I'm going to choose my artwork tool, and you guys have seen me use this a ton. For this one, I'm going to choose the leaf shape, and I'm just going to click and drag that shape, okay? And that is just artwork. So if I go over here to my sequence view, you can see in my sequence that this says artwork, which means there's no stitches applied to it, which is perfectly fine. So I'm going to rotate this around, and then I'm going to copy it and paste it so we can make one for this diamond here. So let's just copy, paste, and then I'm going to mirror image it, and then just move that over to this point here. And then let's make one more. So I'm going to copy and paste again. And actually it's already on my clipboard, so I really can just paste, and it'll paste it right on top of this one here. And then I'm going to rotate that around and just kind of line that up here. Okay. And select, let me put my lock on over here so it does not select my block every time I try to select. So now here I'm going to select all of those, and then I'm going to resize it first. So anytime that you're working with a design, if you have artwork, it's best to resize the artwork rather than the stitches. So I'm going to resize that. And then now we can see that's our artwork. And so now I'm going to turn that into stitches. So you can either right mouse click, choose convert to if you have that option. You can also choose the convert to run stitch on your toolbar if you have run stitch on your toolbar. And then here I can also choose my effects panel, which has all of my stitch types together if you have Perfect Embroidery Pro. So when I just click to turn that into a run stitch, and then I can also set the stitch length. So I like about a 2.8 for my stitch length for my quilting. So I can make that adjustment there. I can set it to be a single run, a 2-ply run, a bean, or a motif type stitch, which is a decorative type stitch. And so all of these different options I can convert the stitches to, but quilting, really it's going to be probably your standard single run unless you want a bold double or a bean stitch, okay? And so now let's zoom into that design, and I'll give you another little trick here. So when this design stitches out, I want it to stitch and then keep stitching and keep stitching. And that has to do with the order and the start and stop points. So if I choose my shape tool here, that allows me to see each one of these elements. And you can see that my stop point is right here, whereas I want it to start and stop at this point so that when it runs around and it stops right here, then it can just pick up where it left off and go here, and then the same thing here. So I want all my stop and start points here. So I'm going to click this one. I'm going to move my stop and start point. Okay. And then select this one and do the same thing. And then I'm going to space these out just a smidge. So there's my start point, and then there's my stop point. Okay. And now that I've done that, I'm going to just move these out just a little bit so that I've got a little bit of space in between them. If you want them to just keep running, you know, and you don't want a stop and a trim, then you can turn off your trim commands between those so that it just keeps running around, okay? So that's using your artwork tool to create shapes. Now, under your artwork tool here, you can see that I've got triangle, diamond, star. I've got a rounded rectangle. I've got rectangle, ellipse up here. I have the pen tool, which lets me just draw any shape that I want. And then I've got these other shapes down here. And any of these can be drawn and converted to a run stitch. So isn't that cool? So there's plenty of ways that you can create your own custom quilting designs. Okay, so let me show you one more, and then we're going to take our break, answer questions, and then I'm going to do the edge to edge design and the piecing when we come back. Okay, so you can draw your own shapes as well. So I just drew a star because I am not a good drawer. So I'm going to zoom into this block here, and I'm going to choose my artwork pen tool for this one. And your artwork pen tool lets you click to make points. Okay. So I can click, 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 and I'm just clicking in a star shape. And that again is artwork. So I want to convert that to a run stitch in order for it to stitch and quilt. Okay. You can resize. I would resize before you convert to the run stitches. It's just a better way to convert to your embroidery or to resize your design. So, okay. And now this shape here, let me show you that not only can you just click and make straight points, I'm going to choose my run stitch tool again. And for this, we could make curved points. And so if I click and if I hold down my control key and keep clicking, you can see that it makes curved points, which is not that is not a good example. So let's just make some other shape here. So let's just say you wanted to make like a fun little loop design for like a border or something. So I'm going to click, click. I'm going to hold down my curve so that you can see that it is now making that curve design, and I can convert that to a run stitch. Okay. So that's using your mouse to click to make those points, and then you can convert it to a run stitch for your design. So super easy to do, and really I think a great way to create some custom quilting designs. So just to reiterate before we answer some questions, and I'm going to show you how to do your edge to edge design and give you a tip on that as well. But quilting fill a shape. Okay, so you have to have a shape on the screen in order to fill it. You can draw that shape or choose a built-in block if you have My Quilt Embellisher or My Block Piecer. You can edit block shapes. So those same blocks that are built in My Block Piecer, My Quilt Embellisher, you can convert those to run stitch and create custom quilting designs that way. The built-in embellishments are built into My Quilt Embellisher, and they are quilting designs that you can use. You can import your own designs. If you own a design from another designer, if it is an embroidery file format, you can choose File, Merge, or you can bring it in if it's under your C Dime Designs. The next one there was using the artwork tool Shapes to just convert those shapes to a run stitch to make some good quilting designs. And then the last one, freehand drawing. And the next thing that we're going to do is going to be really a good demo of the freehand draw. So I'll show you that whenever I come back from our break. So let's see if we have any questions on the custom quilting, and then we will see that next step. So I see we've got more people joining. So hey, Joanne from Let's Go Sew. Thanks for being here, Joanne Banco. Always good to see you join us. And so we've got Sin Anton. She says, if you combine the artwork to make it into one design and you have only one start and stop point. So yes, that is correct. So if you combine, you have one single start and stop because it is seen as one object. So really great question. So, and then the trim tool, Eileen is asking, where do you use the trim tool? So that is in your settings under your command options. And then I'll select and show you that when we go back over there. So I'm just seeing if we've got other questions there. So Cindy says, how do we put our outside quilting designs in the C Dime folder? So Cindy, I'll show you that too whenever I go back over there. That's another really simple one as well. So, and then I'm trying to just scroll back here, hoping that the screen doesn't freeze when I scroll backwards. There we go. And so Jennifer says, do you have a way for us to get a template like you're using here to practice in the software? So Jennifer, the template, do you mean the block? that I'm using. Is that what you mean for that shape? So those come from My Quilt Embellisher or either My Block Piecer. If you don't have one of those programs, then I would say draw a quilt block for you to work with, and then you can use your artwork tools to do that. Just use your built-in shapes, just like I did with the leaf shape, but you're going to be drawing, squares and rectangles to make those fit together. So that's another option for creating a block to work with. So if the block is not what you meant, then clarify down in the chat a little bit further down, and I'll make sure to answer that. So, okay, so I think that is all of the questions. Oh, I see Barbara ask a question here. So combine versus connect. And so combine is combining the objects to be one object. So in your sequence view, whenever you combine, it's making several objects, whether it's artwork or embroidery objects, seen as one object by the software. So when things connect, they're generally just start at one point, stop, and then they're continuing on from that stop point at the next start point. So hopefully that makes sense over there too. So, okay, so let me head back over and we'll answer a couple of those questions there for Eileen for the trim tool, and then also getting those designs in your C dime designs is another question that we asked. And so let me head back over here and show that. Okay, so your folder on your computer. So if you are able to open a file explorer, this is usually where we all go to see what's on our computer. And it looks like this. So if you go to your C drive, you should have a folder called Dime. And the designs folder is where you want to store those. So all you have to do is copy your files and paste those into that particular folder. So see up here at the top where it says my PC, basically this PC, C, and Dime, and then you want to copy everything in this folder. So you can see I've got AccuQuilt, AJ Designs, Amelie Scott, Angela Wolf. So if I close this out and go over to my library here, and I'm going to scroll up, you can see that this is that designs folder, and I have folders that I have copied and created: AccuQuilt, my AJ Designs, and then it's got a lot of folders in there as well. And so you can see that I've just got tons of different folders. That allows me to look at them in this window here. Okay, so that is how you can get those designs over to your C Dime Designs. Okay, so now we're going to see this here in just a second. So I was going back to my quilting ways here. So for your trim commands, so if you have a program that allows you to see the commands, so I'm going to zoom in here to this option here, and I choose my command option on the left where my cursor is blinking, then you can see when I click away from this that I've got that little needle change option there. And when I go over here to my sequence view with the commands on, and then I can choose my stitch tool. Now, not every program has the stitch tool, but the stitch tool allows me to see those different commands here. So, and I'm looking for this one that's here. Now I've got a lot of them because I've got all of these different designs on the screen. So just to make this a little less confusing, let's just select these, and then I'm going to copy them, and then let's open up a new workspace and just paste these by themselves so that it's less confusing. Okay, so if I choose my stitch tools, I've got my commands on, so I can see that that's a needle change there. And if I click on that, you can see here that I can make changes to that. So right here, I can do a trim, a normal, jump, trim, stop, needle change, and a frame out. So you can look in your user manual for the explanations for all of those. But the needle change is basically your, it's going to stop and ask you for another color. And so that is your needle change, like going to a different design. And then you guys know what jump and trim are. So if you just do the needle change or the normal, it's not going to do that trim, and it'll just continue on stitching from one element to the other. So your commands down here, and then you want to choose your stitch tool to be able to see the commands in your sequence area. When you've got your regular select tool selected, notice here that I've got my three run objects. And if I select all three of those, and I click the combine option, then you can see that this now is one run object rather than three run objects. Okay, so that's what we were talking about with the combine option. Okay, so now let's talk about creating the piece in the hoop quilt block. I'll show you how I made my carrot, and then we're going to see how you can create the edge to edge design. Okay, so now I like to show these three programs together because they work together like peas and carrots, really. So they go together really well. Okay, so because a lot of times if you want a piece in the hoop, then you might want to quilt the block as well. So over here on the right hand side, our My Block Piecer software allows me to choose a quilt block. My Block Piecer is the only program that will auto generate a piece in the hoop block. Okay, so let's see how that works. I'm just going to start with this triangle here, or this diamond and a square, and click OK. And then I'm going to set the size that I want. So step one, you just select the block. Step two, set the size. So as long as this fits in your block, you can make it whatever size you want. And then the next thing that you're going to do from the My Block Piecer options is choose the workflow. The workflow is what will auto generate a stitch file for this exact block. So I click auto build. I'm going to tell it to sort numbers because I do want it to be in numerical order. And then when I click preview, you can see that now this is a bunch of run stitches that's going to build the shape of this block. Okay, so My Block Piecer, that's how you use that software. It is the most simple program that you can use. Okay, so now let's do the carrot block because I want to show you how you can use your My Block Piecer to make blocks that maybe are not built into the software. Okay, so I'm going to choose the quilt block option. And for this one, I'm going to use this shape here. And I'm going to mirror image it, or you could rotate it around. I just want the carrot to be upside down. I'm going to change this to orange. So I'm going to right mouse click on the orange color. And then if I select the two side pieces, I'm going to right mouse click on the white color chip for the bottom of my carrot. Okay. So now this block is 8 inches by itself, and that is a really, that's going to be a big carrot. If I make 8 inches and then I put something on top, I might not have a hoop that's large enough to piece that. So I'm going to need to resize this, but we'll resize it all at once and set the size. Okay, so let's go back and choose another block. So My Block Piecer, the quilt block library, and for this one, I'm going to choose this pinwheel block here and click OK. Okay, and you can see it puts it right on top of the other block. So I'm just going to slide it out of the way so we can see what's happening. And I just want the top portion of this block. So I'm going to select the bottom portion and click the delete on my keyboard, or you have delete under your right mouse click. Okay, and now I'm going to change these to green. So I'm going to hold down my control key, select both of the orange pieces, or you could select both of the blue pieces, whichever you prefer. And I'm going to right mouse click to turn those to green. And then select both of these, holding down my control key, and I'm going to change those to the white for the background. Okay. Now, to get this to line up perfectly, the easiest way to do it is I'm going to turn my grid on. And I'm going to make sure that this will snap to grid. So I'm going to right mouse click on the ruler bar and check. I've got snap to grid turned on, snap to guidelines, and snap to anchor ports. But it's the snap to grid that I'm wanting to use right here. So that was a right mouse click on my ruler bar, and I'm making sure there's a check mark next to snap to grid. Okay, so now let's select by click and drag a box around. And now if I move this around, you can kind of see it's kind of, a jerking motion because it's snapping to the grid that I have turned on, which means that when I put it up here, I can get it to snap right to the top. And now I know that everything is lined up. Okay, so isn't that cute? So that's a cute little carrot block that you could piece in the hoop. So I'm going to select my carrot block, the entire thing, and now let's set the entire size of this block. Now, I do have a hoop that's an 8 by 12 that this would fit in. Actually, I need a little bit larger if you the seam allowance around the edge. But I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to set my width at 6, and then I've got a 6x9 design, and click apply. Now, even though I built this custom block, I can still use my workflow to create a piece in the hoop design. So I'm going to choose my quilt plan, or not my quilt planner, sorry, my block piecer, choose my workflow, click the auto build, click sort number so that it puts everything in numerical order, and then click preview. And now I have this design that is going to piece this block in the hoop for this little carrot shape. Okay. And so I'm going to save this so that we can bring this back in. And I'm just going to save this. Let's just put it under my downloads. And I'm going to call this my carrot and click save. And it opens up the location. So I'm going to double click the embroidery file. Okay. So now if you're going to go straight to your embroidery machine, make sure you choose the format for your embroidery machine. But I was going to edit this again, so the C2S is just fine. So let's double click to open this up. And you'll see it open up behind here. So I'm going to close this out, and there is my stitch file. If I want to create a custom quilting design for this, then the artwork file that we just created over here is what I can do to do this. Okay, so remember, you can select any of these shapes, and then you can use the quilting fills if you want. So if I want to say do a fill shape here from our My Quilt Embellisher. So I'm just going to choose this one, click OK to fill my carrot shape here. And I'm going to increase that pattern length. So let's make that a little bit more open. And for these, let's just choose a different shape. I'm going to go back to My Quilt Embellisher and use the quilting fills. For this one, let's do the texture. And I'm going to choose, which one do we want? There's so many to choose from. So I'll choose this one again. It's one of my favorite ones. I use this one a lot. And then it'll fill in that shape. And then we can increase that quilting as well. So I'm going to just increase that number there. And now let's just do for these portions right here, I'm going to do just stippling. So I'm going to select all 4 of them. Under My Quilt Embellisher, choose the stippling option. And now I have created a quilting file that is specifically for this quilt block. So let me change this color so we can see it a smidge better here. And now if I want to quilt my block, as soon as I am done stitching, I can select this. I'm just going to copy it and paste it. So if I copy and go over to my stitch file here and paste that right on top, then now I've got one file that will do everything. Okay, so I'm going to do a right mouse click on my ruler bar and say center origin, and it'll line that up with my block. So now if we watch this stitch out, this particular design is going to be pieced in the hoop. So that's my layout for my block, and then all of those red and black lines are piecing it together, and then this file that's right in the same file is now quilting my block all in one. So that's pretty cool, right? Okay, so now I'm going to head over to my PowerPoint here. If you have never done piecing in the hoop, I just recorded this while I was stitching this so that you could see the process. So the first thing that stitches when you create a file with My Block Piecer is the layout of your block. So this is the placement guide, and it's numbered, so you know where to put the first piece. Now I have pre-cut these pieces, place this down, and the first piece is always tacked down right side up. And then every single piece after that, you'll put right side together. And the file that we just created actually will do the run stitch, and then you'll flip that open, press it, and then the next stitch will tack that down. Okay. And now every single piece after this is done the same way, right sides together. I usually check my placement, flip it over, and then it'll stitch the seam, and then stitch the tack down after you flip it open. Okay. And so you go through the entire process to create this entire block. So and that's the builds my whole carrot. Now for this one, I didn't just stop at the carrot. I added a border on the outside, which is really easy to do with just a rectangle artwork, and then put those around the sides, and then you can build that block. So, and then for this, what I did was I put batting and backing under the batting on the back of the block here. And then I quilted through all of the layers all in one hooping. So really easy to do with your My Block Piecer for creating your quilting design and creating the piecing in the hoop. So, okay. All right, let's see if we have any questions, and then I'm going to show you drawing your edge to edge design too. So it looks like I don't see any new ones that have popped up. So um, Eileen says, Costello says she just got a new computer. How do I transfer my quilt program to the new computer? So Eileen, the first thing you want to do is unregister on your old computer. So go into the help, activation, and unregister. That will free up your activation so that you can then install it on your new computer. If you need help with that, you can contact our customer service and our technical support, and they can help you with those specific details. But if you unregister, it'll free up your activation so you can install it on the next computer. So, and then Jennifer Alexander said the grouping of all the blocks, like this is the example. So how to make my own. That's what I meant. Sorry. So, okay. So, the grouping of all the blocks. So I just made the block and copied and pasted it for that template just to kind of give me a guide. And then I just wrote in my true type text what I was working on at the top. So good question, Jennifer. It's a good reference, right? When the software is updated, will these be lost? When the software is updated, will these be lost? No, nothing should be lost whenever it's updated. If you're referring to the things that I have saved in my design files, those just live on your computer under that C Dime Designs folder, and nothing is ever removed from there when you're doing the update. The folders that we control, which are the free ones, sometimes we make changes to those, but your files will all be left alone. It's always good to make up a backup copy, though, not just for the updates, just to be sure. But you know, you never know what might happen to your computer. So a backup is never a bad idea. So that's a good another good point there. And then Connie says, will the recording of this be available? Yes, it will, Connie. And I do know that this goes fast. I try to show things that existing users can use and get out of this segment. And for those of you that are new, you can go back, rewatch, and pause if you need more time. So it's kind of an easy way to be able to share this with everybody. And then Carolyn says, how well does the quilting of a specific block work with a whole quilt that has been pieced? And so I think it works great. I have done custom quilting, and we actually teach a class on that. When you create a quilt design specifically for a block, you hoop around that block, Carolyn, and then land that design right on your block, and then you'd move your hoop each time. So yeah, I think it works great, and it's a really easy type of quilting as well. So hey, Linda, good to see you here. So she said she's having trouble with the bulk on multi-hooped quilt block designs. So what I like to do is, if I do require multiple hoopings, Linda, I seam them together with my sewing machine. Or if you want the embroidery machine to seam them together, then using a stabilizer that's going to be removed out is a way to reduce the bulk. So like our piece and stitch is kind of a wash away, tear away, and it's easy to be removed from the stitches. So that's a really great question. So love that. Okay, so and then Joanne says a couple are asking about selecting a larger hoop in the pop-up. Yeah, you can select whatever size hoop you want for this and make this fit as large as you want in your hoop. If you're piecing in the hoop, give yourself a little extra room, because you do have a seam allowance all the way around that block. So that's a really important thing to remember when you're piecing in the hoop. So and then Toby Perkins, are you using sticky backing? So I pieced on no-show stabilizer or either a wash away, tear away kind of stabilizer are the two types that I stitch on. So our exquisite no-show is a good one, and the piece and stitch is another good one as well. So, and then Laura Park says, do you need to put down backing? So I hoop backing for this one, Laura, and then I piece on the backing, and then I put my batting underneath it. You can put down your batting in the hoop and piece on top of your batting if you want. So then you would actually get kind of a quilt as you go kind of method. So that's another great option as well. So, okay, so let me head back over. Let's talk about creating and using a custom quilting design with our My Quilt Planner, because this is what you're going to see Eileen working on this week. So I wanted to make sure that I got to this point, and then we can always answer some more questions if I missed any. Okay, so creating a custom, let me go back to my 6 different ways here. So the last option here for freehand drawing, you can use your pen tool to freehand draw a shape by changing your settings. So let me show you this, and you could actually draw on a touch screen computer. Okay, so if you go to your help and activation. So I think it was Eileen that asked about the activation. So go to help and activation, and then you can unregister under there. I don't want to click that because then I think it shows my serial number that pops up. So click the help and activation, and then there's an unregister button that you can click to release your activations. Okay, so now to freehand draw your designs, if you go to tools and general options, and there is a digitizing option here that is set to simple draw. If you choose freehand, it will actually let you just move your mouse around and you don't have to do a bunch of point clicking. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to say okay, and then I'm going to choose my artwork pen tool. And instead of having to click, you remember that curved point that we did? I can actually just drag and draw a shape. Okay, so that's what the pencil tool means. And you can see I didn't have to click to make any of these points. And then when I hit the enter on my keyboard or right mouse click, I can convert this to a run stitch by choosing my run, or right mouse click, convert to run, however you want to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, if you have a touchscreen computer, that you can actually draw on your touchscreen computer with your stylus. Okay, so I have another computer set up under my camera here. So here's my hands. Okay, and I've got my stylus, and this is a touchscreen computer, which means that I can, touch with my finger or either this stylus, and then it means I can draw on the screen here. And you see those points that it placed, and when I hit enter, you can see what I just drew. Okay, and so I can do it with my stylus or with my finger. Okay, so now to do this, I can either use my artwork tool to draw. If you have Perfect Embroidery Pro, you can just enter it right in a run stitch if you want. Okay, so I'm going to start a new workspace and then choose my artwork tool. So I'm clicking the drop down arrow there and selecting my artwork pen tool, and it's actually already selected. Okay, and so now I can just draw on the screen, and you can see, I know it's a little hard to see, but that same little pencil is on there letting me know that my freehand option is ready to go. Okay, so now I'm just going to draw a design. So this is similar to the design that Eileen drew, that she is going to be showing you this Thursday. And then I'm going to just click enter on my keyboard, and it sets those points. Okay, so now when I select that, I would then just turn that into a run stitch design. Okay, so now I've got to go back to my select tool. So I've selected it, and then now I can turn that into a run stitch design by same thing, using my settings and my effects panel down here. Or I can use these soft keys. So a lot of you guys have asked me why I have this little keyboard icon, and I'll show you when I go back on the screen. These are what we call like your soft keys. So they are equivalent to the keys on your keyboard. Okay. So if I click this, this is like my my back button, backspace on my keyboard. This is shift, escape. That's like my right mouse click, my control key, and this is the return. Okay. So those are in use because I have or available because I have a touch screen computer. Now that you see that I can draw on the screen, this is another way to create a custom design. But when you're creating an edge-to-edge design, I have a tip for you. But I'm going to go back to my other screen for this so that you can see it really well. Okay. So if I open up the design, this that I have already created here, actually Eileen created this design. When you're creating edge-to-edge designs and you want these to link up point to point, you need to have them on the same plane, so to speak, either left or right or top to bottom. And the easiest way I have found to do that is to use the guidelines from your ruler bar. So if you click on your ruler bar and hold, you can drag down these guidelines and you can drag them left to right and top to bottom. And I usually drag it right to one of my points that I'm trying to match up. And you can see Eileen's matches up perfectly. But if they don't, here is what you would do. Okay. So choose your shape tool, and then you can move this point to match up with that guideline there. And then I just click right mouse click to set it. And I'm going to move my green stop right back in place. Okay. So I'm going to double click my zoom tool to zoom out, and let's just do that process again. Okay. So I'm going to remove these. So if I just right mouse click on, let me do my select tool again, right mouse click, I can remove the ruler bar. Right mouse click, I can say remove it, and I'm going to show you how I'll put it back on there. Okay. So right mouse click right on top of that blue line. When I have that blue arrow, lets me remove it. Okay. To get those blue lines, you're going to click on the ruler bar, either top or left, and hold and drag it out from the side. I use these all the time for lining up things. Okay. And I'm going to make this off purposely so that we can move these points. Okay. So if you want these to match up, then I'm now going to choose my shape tool, and let's zoom in, and I can select these points. So I'm just going to move the green one out of the way so that I can grab the blue one, and I can drag that right to my line, and then I can move my green stop point right back in place. And then you're just going to do right mouse click or enter to set that that stitch. Okay. And then I'm going to go down, I'm going to zoom into the bottom because we purposely were off, and I'm going to move this in place. So I'm going to choose my shape tool here, and I'm going to move my stop point just a smidge out of the way just so I can see it. And then I can get it right to that point. And you can see right here where it's going to generate. And so if I don't want that to change, then I can use my, my handles here for my Bezier curve to kind of adjust that out if I want. And then when I right mouse click, it's going to move the stitch over here, but I do need to put my stop point in position. Let's do an undo because I accidentally moved the curve rather than the point. Put that to the end, right mouse click, and you can see it moved it. Okay. Now, the reason you want those to line up either top to bottom or left to right is because when we're doing edge to edge quilting, we want to make sure those line up. Okay. So let's do a plan with my quilt planner, and then we'll answer some questions, and we should be finishing up. Okay. So I'm going to do a new page here. And I'm going to create a quilt with my quilt planner. So my quilt planner is Dime's program that'll let you plan the quilting design layout. Okay. And so Eileen's quilt, I think she told me was like 61 by 74. And then for the block size, I'm going to actually enter a rectangle for a hoop size, and I'm going to do 8 by 12, and it could fit in your 8 by 12 hoop, and then no sashing. And you can see it fills up the entire area with these blocks. Now for our quilting design, I'm going to use the same one everywhere. So I'm going to color all my blocks the same color. Same color means you're going to be using the same design everywhere. And I'm going to make the design darker so we can see it. And then I'm going to make the coloring lighter, 10%, so that it is easy to see the design. Then I'm going to say okay. Okay. Now to get the design in our block here, I'm going to choose File and Merge. This is the same way that you would use a design from an outside source. And here's the design that Eileen sent me that she's using, that she created. And if I center it in one of these blocks here, you can see that it repeats automatically. Okay. And so I can see exactly what the entire quilt is going to look like. Now, if I zoom in, it's a little bit bigger than the block that we chose, which is fine as long as I've got a hoop that will work. And you can see here that it's lining up with my points almost perfectly there. And so each time she rehoops, she's going to line those up to get that all over quilting. Now, if you want to design on the image of your quilt, you can choose File and Load Backdrop. Eileen sent me a picture of her quilt, and so I can select that. And you can see it comes in really small. That's because we need to define the scale, okay? So if you choose the Define Scale option, and then I need to zoom in so I can see what I'm clicking here. So I'm going to go back, Define Scale. That's this fly out menu on the left, Define Scale. And then I'm just going to click from one point to the other point, and then 60 or 61. I can't remember what she said. So 60, I think it may have been 60 by 72. That's a more normal size. So, and that actually looks great. But that's an easy way to design right on top of your quilt to see what it's going to look like. And then if I slide this option here lighter, I can then see a little bit better. But you can see here, this is a really good representation of what it's going to look like when it's all quilted. So, and she's going to show you how to get that done whenever you join her this Thursday for Facebook Live. So she created this custom quilting design. So I just wanted to share with you how you could do your own custom quilting designs as well. So, okay, let's see if we have any questions before we go here. And so I see Verna says, did I miss the answer about working with EQ8? Probably not, Verna. I think I missed that question. And so thank you for asking it again. So the yes, our software will work with EQ8, but the way that it does work is you have to export your quilt block from EQ8 as a WMF file. When you export it, then you can open the block in our My Block Piecer software or even the My Quilt Embellisher. So yes, you can use that. That's a really great question. And then Catherine said, the My Block Piecer workflow, I get a pop-up, please select a larger hoop, even though the block is smaller than the hoop. I looked on the design site for help. So Catherine, if you have an 8x12 block and you're choosing the 8x12 hoop, you may not have enough space all the way around, because even though we're choosing, like let's go 4x4, for instance, if you're stitching out a 4x4 block, it's actually going to stitch out 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches, because you've got a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. So you have to choose a hoop to accommodate that extra seam. So our 4x4 hoop would not work for that. We would have to go up to the next size hoop, either a 5x7, or if you've got a 6x6 hoop, might be a good option. So, but make sure you're taking into account that seam allowance. That might be what's happening to you. So, and I don't see any other questions that are popping up. If I missed one, then certainly let me know. You guys know how to find me over on our Facebook group too, to also help answer questions. Okay, so now let me just share with you what you guys can expect in the next couple of weeks when we come back here. Okay, we saw our block stitch out. And so these are the features that I was using. So the convert to run, if you have a shape that you want to turn into a run stitch to make a quilting design, those are all the programs in our software that can, in our embroidery tool shed, module library that can generate a run stitch from an artwork file. The artwork pen tool where I was drawing is in all of those programs. You can see that's nearly every one of our major programs there for those two options. So you can draw and create a run stitch in almost every program out there. Now, the auto piece in the hoop file is from My Block Piecer, and the auto edge to edge layout where I did the quilt building, that's in My Quilt Planner. If you want to use built-in blocks to generate designs, those are in My Block Piecer and My Quilt Embellisher. And the quilt fill options are part of PEP, Perfect Embroidery Pro, or My Quilt Embellisher. So hopefully that helps you with your planning. So, wow, today was a long session. So we're kind of running over. So thank you for being patient with me. So I will be back here for Software Success on April the 1st. And that is going to be a coordinated project with Eileen. So at the end of this month, she will announce a project with these tiles. And I am going to be using the software to show you kind of a behind the scenes of how she creates her project that she created. So she releases the design so you can stitch the product, but if you want to learn how to create a project from scratch, then we're going to be using these tiles to do so on April the 1st. So, so join me then for the next Software Success. So, and then lastly, if I showed any software that you don't own and you're interested, check your local dealer for that software. So we always love to support local, or I shouldn't say local, maybe it's a favorite brick and mortar dealer. Maybe they're not extremely local to you if you live further away, but check with your favorite brick and mortar dealer for those software programs. So it's always great to support your favorite dealer. But if you don't have a dealer near, you certainly can check out our website as well for purchasing any of those. Also, play with the trial version if you just want to see how it works before you commit to buying the program. So, okay, guys, well, that is the last thing that I have for you. Make sure you join Eileen this Thursday at 1 p.m. Central to see the edge-to-edge quilting process. And then I will see you back here on April the 1st. I'll see you next time.